is part 2 of what we started on last time. Okay? Tonight we are speaking about God's, small g, sonship, time. Okay? And we are touching mysteries of the beginning, part 2. Okay? Mysteries of the beginning, what? Part 2. We said on mysteries of beginning, part 1, the other time, and we spoke about the age of the earth and the sons of God. Yeah? Tonight we are still touching God's, sonship, time, and mysteries of the beginning. Now, I want you to understand that my background, I'm a studied man. Okay? So when I am approaching the gospel, I approach it with that brain. Okay? I don't approach it just because we can faith it out. I don't approach it like we are just, pushing for you to do things without showing you logically how these things fit in. So, I'm going to do a recap. I spoke to you about the sons of God. I spoke about the floods, in Genesis chapter 6, Actually, you can't appreciate why God had to kill what? To kill the whole, race at the time, unless you understand this particular part here, that when Adam comes in, there were already people that had survived, the previous chaos, okay? And those people had probably said, mercy, mercy, Lord, but they didn't use the mercy, okay? So the reason why Noah is saved with his children is because Noah was the person that had still remained with the pure blood that connects to Adam. You understand? So Adam comes in, and at that time they had to destroy that because these people were already in liege. That's why they said, but Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. When you start from verse 6, Genesis 6:6. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man, whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and the beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. Go on. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Verse 9. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man. He wasn't just in terms of, he was born again. No. He was just in terms of his lineage, was pure. That's why when they are actually telling you the lineage afterwards, they include his lineage because it's had the blood of Adam, and he was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God. His bloodline was very important. It had to be preserved. Why? You remember in the Garden of Eden when God rebukes the serpent, God says, the seed of the woman, shall bruise your head. Now, that is funny because if you know anything about science, women don't have seed. Okay? You know that? It is men that have seed. But God uses that language that the seed of the woman shall bruise your head because he was signifying that there will be a time when a virgin birth shall take place. You understand? A woman was going to have seed without intercourse. You get it? So it is important that the lineage of Noah or Adam is preserved. Okay? So when Cain moves away, Cain in fact rebelled so much, he went and intermarried with people who are already, like dabbling with other gods. You get it? So he goes eastwards of Nod. So he refused to carry on the heritage. Are we together so far? So I'm doing a recap and I'm filling in some gaps. Okay? So that's why I was quoting the book of Enoch, and I was telling you that for most of the times they quote this book even in the New Testament, even in the Old Testament. Some of you might think I've only seen it being quoted in what? In Jude. And you're wondering, where else was it quoted? Yeah? Haven't you ever wondered why does, when you go to Genesis 6, when you start Genesis 6:1, yeah? Very fast. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them. This is Moses narrating this story, yeah, to the people of the time. Are we together so far? So Moses is narrating this story. Go on. And the sons of God, yeah, saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he is also flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. That seems like a disconnect. It's like they are jumping. But go on. Of course, verse 4, he brings us back. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, yeah, basically when they had intercourse with them, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. I've told you elsewhere in the scripture, they speak of the Nephilims, the Raphaims, the Zuzuims, all of these creatures that came as a result of intercourse between sons of God and daughters of what? Of men. Yeah? So go on. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth. Yeah? Here he's speaking of man with that kind of whatever character. And that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Okay? I told you there is no man or human being like that. Yeah? It is impossible, if you have the blood of Adam, for your thoughts to be continually evil. It is impossible. But these ones, it's because the DNA had changed. These were hybrids. Yeah? And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. So you're wondering, okay, the story is so short there. You see? But he makes it short because he expected the people he's speaking to know the story. Because in that time, manuscripts of the book of Enoch could be given out. They were actually common and in circulation. The story of Enoch, actually, when you look at the book of Enoch, Enoch 1, yeah, most of these other ones, they were written later. Yeah? Enoch 2 and Enoch what? Enoch 3. But Enoch, the very one, it is written years ago. Yeah, it has the chapter of Watchers. Yeah, it gives that story in more details. Yeah, in fact, by then they consider it as scripture. So sometimes for you to understand the Bible, you have to go in the culture, yeah, of the people it was written to at the moment, and you appreciate some of those things. So let me get the water out of the way. Kati Enoch, yeah, it has the book of the Watchers. The book of the Watchers is what explains the 200 watchers or angels that were sent on earth and came at Mount Hermon, yeah, and they were given all these roles, but they decided to start to have issues and rebel, yeah, and they started to teach children or sons of men, yeah, forbidden wisdom. Some were being taught makeup, magic, all kinds of things, weaponry and all of those kinds of things. They taught basically these children or sons of men how to war and different things. Yeah. So they came at Mount what? Hermon. So Enoch sees that. Again also, the book of Enoch has another chapter that has to do with the parables of Enoch. Yeah, these parables, he gets them while he's dreaming. Actually, one of the reasons why they reject the book of Enoch, because you have to understand that before we did our own canon, before they did the canon for the Christians, for the New Testament, yeah, the Jewish guys had done their canon, yeah, and they did it shortly after the Christians also copied and they followed suit, yeah. But before that canon was done, yeah, they rejected, actually the Jews rejected to include Enoch, and these are some of the reasons they were saying the book was so ancient, so they didn't know the author. They couldn't authenticate the author. But also, they couldn't authenticate, the real main reason by some guy who really like fueled this rejection of the book of Enoch, called Augustine. Yeah, the real reason is because in the parables, the book of Enoch had prophesied, Jesus as the Son of Man in his dreams. So them accepting that book was accepting that they killed the Messiah for wrong reasons, because all the prophecies in the parables concerning the Son of Man actually came to pass. He got a dream speaking of the Son of Man, and the guy who writes about this is called Tertullian. So why I'm saying some of these things is to tell you it's there in history. It's not like I'm just telling you things out of excitement. You understand? These are things you can study. So that's the book of what? Enoch. So many of these things could be what? Borrowed from there. So they couldn't verify the authorship, and also they had some issues with the content of the book, and that is the main one reason. Okay? So go back to Deuteronomy 32 verse 8, because now I think I've given you background. In fact, let me tell you this. You see that now? I told you there is also a translation of the Old Testament that is older than the Masoretic text, which many people, even these Jews, when they are accepting their canon, they accepted books based on the translations from the Masoretic text. The Septuagint had been written 300 years before the Masoretic text. The whatevers of Qumran, the Dead Sea Scrolls, they are also more ancient than all of that. So when you see this text here, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, remember, not the sons of what? Abraham, but sons of Adam. He set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. I said the translation here, the children of Israel, was included because there were people in the Masoretic text trying to help God, but the true word there is B'nai Elohim. The nations were divided according to the sons of God, not according to the children of Israel. Because at the time the nations are divided at the Tower of Babel, Abraham is not even yet there, Israel is not even yet there. You understand? But these guys try to look for something that makes sense, because when you look at the table of nations in Genesis 10, I told you there are 70 nations. Even the children and the souls of Israel later on, there are 70 souls. So they try to make up those things, but they were not divided according to the what? To the sons of what? The children of Israel. They were divided according to the sons of God. When things go on under Babel, God hands over nations that he had changed their tongues, to sons of God. Why? Adam already had an issue of selling birthright. He had sold the birthright to a creature that was lower than God. So even the children, the sons of Adam, followed suit when they were trying to sell birthright, and they are building Tower of Babel instead of spreading. The instruction is spread. They are building tower to reach heaven. Who is enticing them? The obedient what? So God decided to give them watchers and sons of God, or sons of God, or elsewhere they call them hosts of what? Heaven. Now, when you look at this, I told you the scripture interprets scripture. Okay? When you look for this and you look for other scriptures elsewhere, you will find that this interpretation that I'm telling you, that this is sons of God. Okay? When you actually, the Dead Sea Scrolls, they say sons of God. Here. When we go to elsewhere, you'll see that this fits in. When you go to Deuteronomy 4:19, I'm still doing a recap. Unless thou lift up thine eyes unto heavens, and when you see the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the hosts of what? Heaven, Yeah? The sons of what? Should be driven to worship them and serve them, which the Lord your God has divided unto all nations under the whole heaven. You see that? Those stars there are not children of Israel. Later on, of course, Abraham is granted the opportunity, and he's being told this, that he'll get sons as the stars. Even when it comes also to Abraham, they tell him, unto thy seed. You see, speaking still of the Christ. So later on it comes, yeah? It comes back to us. But at this point, we need to take the scriptures, because when you just reject and you take it to the children of Israel, yeah, they've just, like, it's more like someone who was going to see something here, and you redirect them, say, take that journey. You get it? Eh? So that is why some of you don't see these things in the scripture. You can't see Son of God. You can't see all of these kinds of things. Eh? And when we come, it finds us like we are some kind of weird people. Yeah?